Tonight, former President Mahama files his nominations to contest the December polls, but we tell you why the chairperson of the Electoral Commission says she is disappointed.
As a commission, we would have wished that the flag bearer of the NDC, former President John Dramani Mahama, and or his vice presidential candidate would have been here personally to present their nomination form.
The NDC is tonight raising issues with the process itself.
If we are not careful, we will be filing nominations based on a provisional register. We stand vindicated today. We have been given 5 days to file nominations. Let's ask ourselves, what register are we filing the nominations based on?
So where is John Mahama tonight? We have the retail question that John Mahama is attempted to answer tonight as he launches the next phase of his campaign.
This is our battle for Ghana's future. Let's embrace it like our very lives depend on it, because Ghana deserves to be in a better place where everyone has the chance to thrive and prosper.
And Top Story tonight is always brought to you by Vodafone. The future is exciting ready. Well, tonight the former President John Mahama has filed his nomination papers to contest the December polls. But the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Evans Mensah, has expressed her disappointment. But why? She says she was hoping that Mahama will show up himself over his failure to show up or his vice to file the papers personally. Evans Mensah says she was hoping that would happen so she can address some of the concerns that he had personally raised. Now, in place of the former president, General Secretary of the NDC, John Sesudin-Gitia, filed the nomination papers. Receiving the documents, the EC boss said the EC will be fair, firm, and transparent.
As a commission, we would have wished that the flag bearer of the NDC, former President John Dramani Mahama, and or his vice presidential candidate, Professor J. Nano Kokwajima, would have been here personally to present their nomination form, as it would have allowed us an opportunity to engage, particularly with the former president, on some of his concerns which we have noted in the media. However, we welcome you both warmly to the commission this afternoon. This afternoon, we are assembled here for one of the most important processes in our electoral calendar. Indeed, without this activity, the commission cannot run the election.
That is Madam Evans Mensah. I want to take you live to the premises of the Electoral Commission where John Sesudin-Gitia, who filed the papers on behalf of John Mahama, is addressing the media.
They were changed this morning, and documents which we have collected more than 2 weeks ago, and today that we are going to file, you keep on replacing voter ID cards. These are the two pictures.
The cameras can take them.
You see, the cameras can. They say Maxwell quiz.
Okay, but finally for me, the chairperson obviously was sort of disappointed. She wanted to meet your flag bearer, former President John Mahama, to engage him, she wanted to address all the concerns that the flag bearer had raised.
She can always do that if he chooses to do that. Is she telling us that she's not aware of the contents of the regulations they have handed over to us, that a flag bearer can come or he can choose his representative to come.
But because
so if you have
wanted him to come and then address
why has he written to the flag bearer to come and address some concerns? What type of reason is that? Please don't listen to them. They will pollute your mind and
So, Evans, that was the General Secretary.
Yes, Parker.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, Parker. Hello, Parker. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you live, Parker. So we had the General Secretary there talk about some delays and voter ID cards issues that were being rectified whilst they were attempting to file their papers. What exactly was he talking about? Is that what accounted for the delay?
Okay, so according to the General Secretary of the MDC, essentially the replacement of the voters' ID cards of some of their supporters who endorsed the nomination forms of their flag bearer delayed. Now, he is claiming that just this morning, just as we were about to set off from the party's office to the EC's headquarters, one Richard Chris at Agona Swedro called them that the EC has just replaced his voters' ID card and that what the party captured for the nomination forms were invalid or was invalid and that they needed a new one to fill the form. So they have to go back, get all the documents and cross-check with all the other supporters who had endorsed the form to ensure that the ID cards, the polling station code, the ID numbers and the PIN codes and everything contained in there are valid. And that was the reason why they delayed in coming. Now, he also questioned the register in which the party is using to file the nomination. In fact, the General Secretary said that this is the first time in the history of Ghana that presidential candidates are filing with a provisional register. It has never happened before, and for him, they stand vindicated when they said that the compilation of the new voters register was going to create problems. So these are some of the concerns he raised. And Evans, I heard you mention about the EC's disappointment over the former president's failure to show up here at the EC headquarters. According to the General Secretary, and I asked him a direct question why the former president didn't show up. Well, he tells me that the EC has not written to the former president to engage him on some of the issues he's raised, and so the former president is not under any obligation to present himself physically to submit the nomination forms.
We have had to come this late because of some of the challenges which the Electoral Commission has imposed on us. And you remember when the Electoral Commission decided to compile a new voters register, we did indicate to them that the time was too short for a very comprehensive job to be done with the compilation of a register that would be credible for us to go into elections with. They disagreed and persisted in going ahead. Committees of eminent persons were put together. We indicated to them that according to their own timetable, we will run these elections into an absurd situation where the time the register will be ready, the period of filing of nominations would have expired. Alternatively, if we are not careful, we will be filing nominations based on the provisional register. We stand vindicated today. We have been given 5 days to file nominations, beginning from Monday to Friday. Let's ask ourselves, what register are we filing the nominations based on? The laws of the Commission itself indicate that an old register does not become extinct until a new one is finalized and certified. We have a situation where we are called upon to file nominations, but there is a big doubt as to which register will be the base document for the filing of nominations. Even today, the Electoral Commission is exhibiting part of the register, based upon which you are supposed to file nominations. And it is called provisional register because it has not been certified. No matter what gerrymandering has happened with the CI, a provisional document remains a provisional document. The Commission's own conduct indicates that the document is provisional and it keeps changing. We were unable to come at 11 o'clock because this morning some of our supporters who had completed the document provided their voter ID numbers were calling that the Commission has called to change their ID card. And so all the particulars we had captured had to be revised. And we don't know whether what we have submitted even constitutes the final thing, because some of the names that are here can be called and their ID cards replaced. It is unfortunate that a mature democracy like Ghana, we are having to go into elections as if we haven't tasted democracy before.
Parker is still with me. Parker, did the Electoral Commission respond to these concerns of the NDC, and what did they say?
Now, Evans, the EC had a response for that. Now, let me say that just before Mr. Sedin Ketem made this allegation, he had indicated to the chairperson that he wanted to address them. And then he turned around to address the media. So whilst addressing us and making the allegations, I saw the EC chair herself, Dr. Bosman Asare and Samuel Tete, trying to share ideas and get a response of what they need to say. So shortly after Mr. Sedin Ketem's presentation, Mr. Samuel Tete took the microphone and indicated to us that what Mr. Sedin Ketem is saying is misleading, and that all the anomalies with regards to the voters' ID was rectified about 10 days ago. So it cannot be true that today they replace the voters' ID of some supporters of the NDC. And again, we should note that NDC is not the only party who's come to file nomination. There has been other political parties yesterday, and they didn't raise these concerns. So he's quite surprised that the NDC will make some allegation this evening. We can listen to him.
He is claiming they found on the nomination forms. We corrected all these errors. And I can't remember, the chair actually asked me to call the parties, that is those who, 10 days ago, those who collected the passcode to get access to our website to download the forms. And I called them and then informed them. So errors were corrected. Even some of the letter that we even put on the website, I even WhatsApp the letter to MPP, NDC, and all those that I have their numbers on my phone. So the errors were corrected, and we informed the political parties 2 weeks ago. So if for one or two reasons, some of them chose to stick to the ones that they have downloaded and did not get back to the website and then make the corrections, and it's their own problem. But the record that we effected those changes, yes, on the website, and we also inform the party. Thank you.
Joining me on the telephone line right now is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Peter Bomo Tokuno. Mr. Tokuno, thank you for your time here on Top Story. We just listened to Samuel Tete, the EC, explain that your concerns can be valid because the issues with the voter IDs were addressed 2 weeks ago.
Hello, Evans.
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Tokuno.
Yes, clearly the Electoral Commission are confused on what they are supposed to do as prescribed by the law. The response by Samuel Tete is very, very misleading, very mischievous, and I think is a deliberate, calculated lie to mislead the public. as we speak today, they are replacing ID cards for people who they claim have, double voter ID numbers. And so the process has been ongoing. I'm sure you would recall that a video was released where some printed ID cards were being laminated. And we raised the concern about this kind of arrangement, which we thought could be a criminal avenue where the Electoral Commission could slot in unregistered people. True to our concerns, when the exhibition started, we realized that several people have been deleted from the register, and in some cases, people have been added. In actual fact, this morning, the one-day registration exercise that was conducted, we realized that in most of the districts, you would see that people have been added who didn't come to the polling station. But for the records of the printout, we wouldn't have identified. When you go to Evans Mensah, you would realize that 31 people were added, 31, to the one-day registration exercise, and we have to demand for them to be, deleted. These are people who didn't come to the polling station. So the challenge is that we are having to file a nomination for the first time in the political history of this country on a provisional register. It has never been done before, because the reason why you have to file your nominations on a certified register is that the candidates should have satisfied every prerequisite provided by the law to become registered voters, so as the supporters who endorse their forms. Because if the supporters are not qualified voters, then it becomes a grounds for disqualification of the candidate. So we raised all these concerns when we were advocating that we should abandon, watch this kind of idea of replacing the voter register. We set a time without number. We told them that, look, looking at the timetable that you are putting in place, it will mean that we'll be filing our nominations on a provisional register. Now, what happens if the forms that, political parties submit, there are people whose voter ID numbers have been duplicated and for that matter has been changed? Are you going to disqualify them?
Let's speak specifically.
What then becomes of the law? Let's speak
specifically to your filing today. The allegation that Asinigator makes is that one of the reasons why you delayed is because some of the people who had endorsed the forms were affected by the duplication of the IDs. The EC says specifically that can be true.
Hello?
Did you hear my question? Hello, Mr. Bama.
Hello, Evans. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Evans. Can you hear me?
I'm saying that speaking specifically about the filing of the nominations today, the EC, you said that one of the reasons why you delayed is because some of your supporters who endorse your forms were affected by the ID duplication. The EC says that specifically cannot be true because they fixed that problem 2 weeks ago.
Yes, Evans, you see, it's very unfortunate that Mr. Tefe or the Electoral Commission would decide to tell a blatant untruth in this matter, because in no circumstance have those who had that problem of duplicated ID numbers, had their ID numbers replaced in 10 days ago, because you did not even call them. In some cases, some have to go for the exhibition before you realize that their ID numbers, have been replaced. So there are so many people who went through the process of endorsing our forms 2 weeks ago, because the forms was given to us 2 weeks ago, who are now being called to replace their ID.
But Mr. Tokuno, the NDC...
This morning, whilst we were preparing to come and file, people were calling that they have given them new ID cards, and for that matter, their numbers have changed, and for that matter, we have to change the records on the form. And this is factual. This is what delayed us. Otherwise,
but Mr. Tokuno,
our forms, and I'm sure yesterday you saw the president.
Yes, but Mr. Tokuno, that is a substantive question, because the NDC isn't the only party that has filed your papers. Apart from the MPP, we've seen the PPP do it today. None of these candidates have complained about these challenges. I mean, so is it peculiar only to the John Mahama and the NDC?
So let's say that the NDC is more meticulous, and we went through our form one after the other, and we have to double check with those who had endorsed the form. So let's say we have done a meticulous work. We cannot speak for the others, but I tell you verily that most of them would also have that challenge, except that maybe those who endorse for them may not have a line of communication to reach back to them and tell them that.
But Mr. Otokono, you're saying that for a political party that is paying 100,000 will not have done due diligence to the point that if they suspect that that primary document that they are submitting could be a basis for disqualification, they won't raise it?
But Evans, what you have to understand is that you are paying 100,000. You would want to be that meticulous. But you have gone around the country in vehicle to identify 2 people per district to sign your form for you. What happens if today any of them is invited to replace their car? How will you know? What if others will be called tomorrow? As we have submitted our form, we don't know those who will be calling from tomorrow to say that, oh, the numbers we gave you, they have changed them for us. So we are saying that it is the responsibility of the Electoral Commission to make sure that the processes are right. We have a certified register. By certified register, it means that all corrections, if you want, all replacement of voter ID cards had been done. And what is being given to us is the final register. It is in this spirit and it is in this wisdom that those who crafted the law decided to, put filing of nominations after certified register has been done. The law defines the processes for getting a certified register. So after you release the provisional register, you go for exhibition. Exhibition will change some of the personal details. You understand? Then you can have a certified register after final adjudication. The kind of problem that we are having with this current register they have tried to put in place, the magnitude of the problem is something that we have never seen in this country before even. The changes and the duplications that are coming, the mistakes in the register is something we have not seen. We have not had the case whereby people's name will just be missing from the register. We have not had the case whereby people's voter ID numbers will be duplicated. We have not had the case whereby males will be getting female pictures. Pictures will be mangled. Then you give Peter Otokono's picture to Evans Mensah on the register. We have not had all these technical challenges.
Can you explain to me?
Technical challenges are unique.
Yeah. I mean,
what is happening
we had the EC chair express a disappointment that John Mahama's inability to show up himself. Is there a particular reason why he didn't come himself?
I mean, it is most ridiculous for the Electoral Commission to have even made the staff statement in the first place. It shows a lack of appreciation of what is done at the Electoral Commission's office. In actual fact, never has President Mahama, in fact, the 2016 President Mahama didn't do the filing. So filing, according to their own law, according to their own guidelines, are not necessarily supposed to be done by flag bearers. So if President Akufo-Addo decided to go and file the nomination, that means that President Mahama must also.
She would have loved that opportunity. She would have loved that opportunity to directly speak to him about some of the concerns that we've heard John Mahama himself articulate, for which reason he called off or he suspended his campaign a couple of weeks back.
No, Evans, we know that every opportunity that we have had to speak to the Electoral Commission, they hear us. Indeed, they know the Electoral Commission, if they are worried about the concerns that we have raised, and they want to listen to our concerns once again, they know how to achieve that. Just recently, didn't they come to the office of the former president to come and visit us and have an engagement with us? The Electoral Commission knows how to engage us. They know how to call for the meeting. If indeed they want to have a meeting with the former president, all they need is to write a letter and request for a meeting. And we'll be readily available because we want to be heard. But this is for filing. And your regulation stipulates that we should bring representatives, or if we want, the flag bearer himself should come. And so we have brought representatives, and you mischievously and rather, I'm on a low level, make this comment. I think that that exposed her very badly. It shows that she doesn't know her job.
Mr. Otokono,
it amplifies a level of incompetence.
I'm grateful that you joined us. That's the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC there, Peter Bomo Otokono. I want to go back to my colleague, Parker Wilson, who has been at the Electoral Commission all day today. Apart from the NDC, the PPP flag bearer also showed up today to file nomination papers. Parker, did Madam Jugbenuku also have these same concerns expressed by the by the NDC?
No, she didn't have that concern about the duplication of voters' ID, but her major worry was the fact that the Electoral Commission failed to review the filing fee for particularly female presidential candidates. She thought that at least the EC could have done that for the female so that it could empower or encourage a lot more women to get into that position. We can listen to her.
And we are pushing for women in leadership as well. We would have hoped that the Electoral Commission would give us, as we did in our party, discount on the nomination fee for a woman, as it is we have filed. If you still find it in you, immediately on the form can you present you that decision shortly. And then also your proposal is something that the commission would consider. It's one of the things that we discussed thoroughly. We could not arrive, but it will still be considered, and we'll let you hear from us.
Okay, so that is Madam Nuku there. So Parker, so far, how many parties have filed completely, and do we expect more in the coming days?
Yes, we should expect more in the coming days. APC, LPG, and 3 other independent presidential candidates are expected to file their nominations tomorrow and also on Friday as well. In fact, the AC tells us that about 4 independent presidential candidates are scheduled to file nomination, and 13 political parties, including Power Unity Party and then People's Action Party as well. Of course, yesterday we saw the Ghana Union Movement and the governing NPP filed their nomination. So 13 political parties, 4 independent presidential candidates are expected to go through the process. And if their nomination forms are approved by the Electoral Commission, it means that we'll have almost about 10, 11 individuals on the ballot paper going forward into December 7th.
Parker, thank you very much. And that's the latest from the Electoral Commission. We're going to be all over this for you as the deadline approaches for all the parties to file their nomination papers. This is also happening at the constituency levels, also for the parliamentary aspirants as well. And we have a major story for you on Newsnight as we begin to learn of the wave of former MPP parliamentary aspirants now filing to contest as independent candidates, threatening the party's chances in the December polls. We tell you about President Akufo-Addo's wrath. Stay with us for that here on Newsnight in 2 minutes.
At Shell, safety is the #1 priority, and we are taking all appropriate precautions to keep you and our on-site staff safe during these uncertain times. We shall continue to serve you across our network by filling your needs for fuel, lubricants, packaged food, water, and other on-the-go items. We encourage you to use electronic payments, sanitizers, and observe social distance while on site. We encourage you to follow the guidelines from World Health Organization and government, such as wash your hands frequently with soap, observe good personal hygiene at all times, see a doctor if you are feeling unwell, and avoid crowds. Together, we can stop the spread of COVID-19. At Shell, we are committed to helping you go well.